All right, welcome back to ABA exam review and the continuation of our RBT practice question series, where we're going through another set of questions together and breaking them down. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Please like and subscribe. Check out btexamreview.com for all of our study materials, including our combo pack. When you pass your exam, let us know so we can include you in the Sunday shout out. Work hard, study hard. Let's get going. A production supervisor at a bakery wants to track employee performance without constant observation. Instead of watching them frost cakes in real time, she reviews the total number of completed cakes at the end of each shift. What measurement method is being used? So starting with a pretty straightforward measurement question. And with measurement, we always want to know, what are we tracking or what are we measuring? In this case, the supervisor is measuring employee performance, specifically frost cakes and total number of completed cakes. Now, if she wants the total number of completed cakes, there are many ways she can get that. However, what's important here is she doesn't want to have to consistently observe these employees. So if we're not constantly observing and measuring, we have to eliminate continuous measurement procedures. So that would be frequency, recording, and rate. Those are continuous. We're not continuously watching them in real time. Those are out. Now, what do we call it when we are measuring, one, the behavior discontinuously, but we're not using interval recording, and instead we're measuring the outcome or the product? Well, we're going to call that permanent product recording. What this supervisor is doing is looking at the result of the behavior of her employees. She doesn't have to watch them frost cakes. She can just look at the number of cakes at the end of each shift and take that number of completed cakes. Now, why is it not momentary time sampling? Because she's not breaking this necessarily into these intervals, right? She is looking at this total number of completed cakes at the end of each shift. With momentary time sampling, we're either going to say the behavior happened or not. We're not going to actually give the total. So the better answer and more precise answer is A, permanent product. You've been working with the client for over a year and are approached by the client's older sibling to connect on social media and meet for coffee. You feel close to the family and want to maintain the relationship after services end. What is the most ethical response? So looking at an ethics question here, and it looks like a dual relationship question, right? Because you're working with this client, you've got a good relationship, and the older sibling wants to meet for coffee and connect on social media. Now you feel close and you want to maintain the relationship after services end. The key here is after services end. If you are working still with this client as their technician or on their team, you cannot hang out with their sibling. That is creating a dual relationship and a potential conflict of interest. Now, let's say your services do end. If you're no longer working with the client, then you can hang out with the sibling. There are different rules for the client themselves, but the sibling is totally okay. Now you want to be careful, because what if you have to go back again and work with the client one day, right? But ethically, there's nothing wrong after services are over to hang out with the sibling. So what should you do? A, accept the invitation as long as services are ending soon. B, accept the invitation only once services are finished. Why is B better than A? Because A is implying you're still delivering services. B says services are done. So you have to wait until those services are finished. C, decline the invitation to avoid a dual relationship, even if you're no longer providing services. If you're done, you can't necessarily engage with the client, especially in a relationship type status, but the sibling is totally fine. And D, accept the invitation as long as it's not discussed in session. You need to wait till services are finished to engage in any sort of personal relationship with any members of the client or the client's family. A client frequently screams when they want access to a toy. During the session, the behavior technician prompts the client to use a picture card and delivers the toy immediately afterward. After several sessions, the client begins handing over the card independently and screaming decreases. Which of the following best explains the intervention? So we're looking at this intervention. And what is the intervention? Well, we have a client who is screaming for access to a toy. So they're communicating essentially by screaming to get this toy. The technician is prompting the client to use a picture card instead and is delivering the toy immediately afterwards. Now, after a while, the client is now handing over the card and screaming decreases. So our screaming has gone down while the picture card has gone up. Client is still communicating to get toys, but in a more functional way. So what are we using? A, response blocking. Did the technician at any point block the response? No, they might have used a differential reinforcement procedure, but no responses were blocked. B, did they fade punishment procedures? There is no mention of punishment in this scenario, so B is out. What about C, functional communication training? Well, sure. The communication of, or the using the card is that example of functional communication. They are being taught to functionally communicate. So we are using functional communication training. And then D, a token economy. Don't confuse the picture card with a token economy. This is not a token economy. The picture card is the communication method. That is not a token. So be very careful in a question like this. Which of the following best explains the intervention? C, functional communication training. During an outdoor walk, a child stops to look at a fountain. The technician points to it and asks, "What is that?" When the child responds, "Water," the technician provides excited praise and allows the child to approach it. This teaching strategy is best described as what? Pretty straightforward question, but we're going to talk about how we answer questions on the exam, okay? Now we're looking at a situation where during this outdoor walk, the child looks at the fountain. The technician uses this opportunity to ask them, "What is that?" The child responds correctly. The technician is then provides praise and allows the child to approach it. So the technician has used this situation to teach and reinforce. What kind of strategy is that? Well, A, natural environment teaching, right? Because of course, the outdoor walk, it's not systematic, it's not necessarily structured, but the technician is still using opportunities to teach. They're using the natural environment to teach tacting or communication or whatever it may be. Now, A is our right answer, but let's read all the answers. B, incidental teaching. Incidental teaching is the same as natural environment teaching. C, NET. NET is natural environment teaching. So really, our answer here is D, all the above. This is another good example of why we read every single answer choice, no matter what. We're always looking for the best answer, and A might be good, but we might have a better answer further down. Don't rush through and just put the first answer you see. Read everything, understand why they're right and why they're wrong. A person is trying to establish a new habit of exercising daily. They decide to place their running shoes and workout clothes right by their bed each night so they see them first thing in the morning. This is an example of what? So let's think about this, right? We have this person, they want to start exercising daily. So they're trying to change their behavior. They put their shoes and workout clothes right by their bed so they see them first thing in the morning, hoping that what? Hoping that their behavior will change. By seeing the shoes and workout clothes, exercising daily will increase. Now, if the presence of the stimuli, the shoes and the clothes, change the behavior, we're going to call that stimulus control. Stimulus control is when behavior changes in the presence of certain stimuli. Now, we don't have a lot of information, so stimulus control, we're not positive, but is it our best answer? Let's talk about B, response generalization. Is this person generalizing anything here? Well, no, they're trying to establish just this new habit of exercise. Are they maintaining anything? Well, they can't maintain anything yet until they've actually started doing it. Maintenance would be if they start exercising, remove the shoes and clothes, and continue to exercise. And then D, shaping. Shaping has to do with approximations of behavior. We're not looking at approximations of behavior. Therefore, although stimulus control is not necessarily stated explicitly, it's still going to be the best answer given the other three. Thanks so much for watching. Please visit btexamreview.com for all of our study materials. When you pass, let us know. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.